is CBS News Miami.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm Naja Sherman, and welcome to CBS News Miami's 4 p.m. Quickcast. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Off the top, we are tracking the tropics. We are keeping our eye on a tropical system in the Caribbean. We want to get right to next weather. Chief Meteorologist and Hurricane Specialist Ivan Cabrera, you have some breaking news just in.
Yeah, just in from the National Hurricane Center. So now they've designated this what we call a potential tropical system, right? So now we actually have a cone, a forecast cone that takes us into Yucatan, and the models are going to continue to bring us better information. Overnight runs have weakened this a bit, right, as it moves and drifts over to the western part of the Caribbean. So let's talk about it. 30-mile-an-hour winds. It is not a tropical depression. It will be designated Tropical Depression 19. It's potential now because it doesn't have a closed low yet. Semantics. Hurricane Center are going to be flying in there tomorrow morning, the hurricane hunters, and we'll get even more information there. But the reason this gets designated a potential tropical system is so that we can alert folks ahead of the storm. So before it develops, give enough people enough lead time to either get out of the way or just know that something is coming. This is not a cone. This is a huge circle. Whenever you see this from the Hurricane Center, it means that there are significant issues with the forecast as far as the veracity of it, whether this is actually going to potentially happen. The reason we have that is because this could move further to the north. It could intensify. It could do that rather rapidly and actually turn into a hurricane before it hits the Yucatan. Or it could dive a little bit further south and be less organized and just kind of fall apart through here. There's so many options with this system right now that we are following. This is the latest track from the European, and we continue to see this kind of migrating towards the west. So the trends overnight have had the models pushing this more and interacting more with the Yucatan Peninsula. That is hugely important for us in Florida because the weaker the system gets before it does turn to the east, because that will happen. Do we get a shredded system that comes in with just some rainfall and wind, or if it avoids a lot of the Yucatan here, that would be a more significant system. Today, the trend has been for the former, right? For something weaker here. And we would have less impacts heading into late next week. Problem is the models will shift around, and I think until we get the hurricane hunters in there and get that information into the models, we're not going to have a better handle on it. You can see that by all these loops here, right? That is just the uncertainty that we have and the fact that the steering currents are going to slow down for it. But then eventually we do think something is going to emerge out into the Gulf, and what I mean by something is either a very weak sheared storm or a tropical storm, perhaps even hurricane. So those are the things that we have to answer over the next few days, and we'll continue to do that. As far as the 7-day forecast taking us through next week, no impacts right now. This would not arrive until late next week, so that's something we'll be looking for. So getting through the weekend, no issues here. We're going to have quiet conditions, windy conditions for today, and actually a nice little drop in temperature with the humidity as well. That's going to feel nice for the upcoming weekend. We'll have continuous updates on this potential tropical system in the Caribbean coming up tonight at 5.
Ivan, thank you. Residents of a South Florida community outraged. They received an eviction notice. They've lived at Little Abner Mobile Home Community for decades. Chopper 4 over the massive community of more than 900 homes. This is along Northwest 4th Terrace and 112th Avenue in Sweetwater. Residents have only 6 months to move out. Many are upset because of the shocking news, and it's just weeks before the holiday season. CBS News Miami's Yvonne Taylor is at the scene. He'll have a report coming up at 5. The Broward Sheriff's Office announced a months-long investigation ended with several arrests. Officials say the suspects are violent gang members. CBS News Miami's Joan Murray has more on the crimes they're accused of.
Well, Naja, so often we hear about gang activity happening here in Broward County. So this is a case where law enforcement says they have been on top of it and they have been able to infiltrate this gang and make 8 arrests. And these charges are pretty serious. They have confiscated, they say, weapons and credit cards. So let's take a look. A short time ago, 5 of those suspected gang members were in court appearing before a judge. They didn't really go into too many details. This was a chance for them to enter pleas of guilty or not guilty. They all said not guilty. 5 members of the suspected gang, and they are charged with everything from murder to attempted murder to racketeering. Again, 8 members have been arrested, including one who is only 17 years old. So let me take you back a little bit what this is all connected to. You may remember earlier this year, got a lot of coverage of a murder that happened at a Best Buy in Plantation. Well, according to the Broward Sheriff's Office, they were able to recover a fingerprint from a vehicle there. They say that fingerprint was traced back to a man named Sigmund Brown. He is one of the people under arrest. So they say Brown is a member of something called the Hot Boys or the Grand Mafia, and that he is the leader of that gang. Law enforcement all over Broward County got together. They compared notes, and they say in February, that is when they began connecting the dots. They were able to link these 8 people to a number of homicides, and they say they were able to solve 8 homicides county-wide. So this is very significant. We're still getting details on exactly all these alleged murders and attempted murders these guys are connected to, and we'll have a complete report beginning at 5 tonight. Reporting at the Broward Courthouse, Joan Murray, CBS News, Miami.
Glad the suspect's off the streets. Joan, thank you for that report. Flights from the U.S. to Haiti remain at a standstill this afternoon. We learned that a 3rd plane was struck by gunfire while flying over the country. Officials say no more flights from the U.S. are allowed to fly to Haiti for at least 30 days. It comes after a 3rd plane was struck by gunfire. American Airlines said after one of their flights landed safely at Miami International Airport, they discovered a bullet hole on the exterior of the plane. The FBI says it has taken over the investigation. And we are also learning that Royal Caribbean isn't planning to stop ports of call at the resort it operates on Haiti's northern tip. Royal Caribbean previously suspended port calls in March. That's after gang violence and killings engulfed the area around Port-au-Prince. Royal Caribbean says safety is their top priority. When we come back, President-elect Trump's pick for his cabinet, the names released coming up. Welcome back to CBS News Miami's 4 p.m. Quickcast. Lots of breaking developments this afternoon in the Trump transition, including Florida Senator Marco Rubio picked for Secretary of State and Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz' nomination for Attorney General. Let's get right out to CBS News Miami's Erica Brown live from D.C. Erica, who else are we hearing about today?
Right, so you named 2 of the key positions here, Secretary of State, Senator Marco Rubio, and Attorney General, Congressman Matt Gaetz, both from Florida. We're also learned about Tulsi Gabbard. She's a former congresswoman from Hawaii, representing Hawaii's 2nd Congressional District. She is an Army Reserve and was an Army National Guard veteran spending time deployed in Iraq. She is someone who ran unsuccessfully for president as a Democrat during the 2016 Democratic primaries, but had left the Democratic Party as an independent in October of 2022 and then joined the Republican Party in 2024. Recently, we saw her on the campaign trail with now President-elect Donald Trump. She was just named today by the President-elect as his Director of National Intelligence. But as you mentioned, Senator Marco Rubio, the senior senator from Florida serving on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, was named as President-elect Trump's Secretary of State. And Matt Gaetz, serving Florida's 1st Congressional District, a staunch supporter and outspoken supporter of the president-elect, was named as his Attorney General. We'll see what happens in terms of confirmation processes for all 3 of them. But key cabinet appointments named today by the president-elect.
And Erica, the big news on Capitol Hill right now, CBS News projects Republicans will keep control of the House, so the GOP will essentially control all branches of the government. President-elect Trump met with Republican leaders today. What'd they talk about?
Right, so the president congratulated his party on their win. At that point, CBS News had not projected that Republicans would retain control of the House, but since then, CBS News has made that projection, with Republicans holding at least 218 seats. That is the number that they needed to retain control. As of now, currently, CBS News has Democrats holding 211 seats. Now, right now, it appears as if even the Republicans gain more seats seats, it will still be a relatively slim majority. So we're watching closely to see what that means moving forward in terms of the dynamic on Capitol Hill. But during the president's meeting with GOP lawmakers, he congratulated them on campaigns that he felt were very well run and on their majority in the House and now, as we know, also in the Senate, giving him many allies across both congressional chambers to push through legislation.
Things certainly moving swiftly for Trump and his transition team. Erica, thank you for that live report. And that's your CBS News Miami Quickcast. I'm Naja Sherman. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day and stay tuned for more news right here on CBS News Miami.